Kids, get out of here. All right, so I'm going to ask a few things. I am the student pastor, and as such, I will break many rules. I will probably catch flack for it later. It's okay. Not my first time. All right, so really quickly, hands up if you know what this means. Really, really high up. Hands up if you know what this means. Okay, if you know what this means, take your phone and turn it off and put it back in your pocket. You guys are young enough to know that you're distracted and you know what that means. All right. I will wait. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to call out Jensen and Rayson. Put your phones in your pocket, young man. All right, so as you can see, I'm up here, I'm preaching against better judgment probably, but here I am. I remembered that I was gonna preach. Thank you for the reminder, for all the people who helped me remember. So I'm preaching from a passage in Luke. We've been going through Luke in the past couple weeks, and I intend to carry on that. And so if you'll open your Bibles with me, just turn it to Luke. You'll probably be flipping around back and forth, but keep like one of your 10 fingers in Luke chapter 6, if you will. All right, so we've all been there before, okay? So someone said something that kind of upset you. It wasn't like a side comment or something you took the wrong way or something that you should have brushed off or whatever. This is the kind of comment that feels extremely targeted, feels like, that feels a little personal. So it consumes your thoughts for a day or two. You're like in the shower thinking like the perfect response. Oh, I'm gonna clap back so hard. I'm gonna like know what to say and respond. You've done your research. You find background information on this person. You stalk them on Facebook and Instagram. FBI should hire you. You're like a little bit weird and creepy and you know too much. And you sit back down at your computer. You're like a keyboard warrior. Oh, I'm gonna cook this guy alive. I'm gonna win this validation of this imaginary audience. Champion's belt right here. I don't know, for the sake of this story, let's just call this person Anthony. Whatever. Okay, so here's the ironic part of this story. The person who posted that comment to you probably has no idea that it upset you. Taken up, living rent-free in your head. You know, probably it's some bot in Russia. Like, it's not even a real person. They're just trying to farm you for engagement. And it worked. So Jesus would have recognized, this person named Anthony, Jesus would have recognized this person immediately, seen right through it. But Jesus would not have posted this person and called them a villain either, right? Jesus would look at this person and say, you know, your vision's focused on the wrong thing. Let's just turn this around. Let's focus on the right thing here. And he doesn't shame the people caught in judging others, in meticulously stalking them, thinking of a great response, thinking of how to just own this person completely. He tells them stories, he tells them parables, and he lets the words do the surgery. And so over the past couple of weeks that we've been in Luke 6, we've walked through probably some of the most challenging territory available in Jesus' teaching. We talked about love, the kind that doesn't wait for someone to deserve it. We've talked about money and a grip it can, or rather most certainly has, on our hearts. We've talked about loving our enemies, like not tolerance, not okay, and then just like ignoring them, like genuinely loving them. Today we arrive at the judging others and the fruit passage. Now, this is not a new topic. You guys probably recognize this in another part of the Bible, Matthew, you know, Sermon on the Plain, Sermon on the Mount. And so everything we've discussed, the love, generosity, forgiveness of enemies, that all shows up, right? Eventually in the lives we produce. And so you might be thinking like, oh yeah, this is like from Luke, but I've read it in Matthew. It sounds kind of the same, but not quite. Well, it is the same, kind of, maybe. I don't know. According to one scholar. There's a scholar online that, in my meticulous research, determines that this is not two separate sermons. It's not two people highlighting different parts. It's actually the same thing. It's presented from different perspectives, right? It says right at the beginning of the Gospels. The Gospel according to Matthew, the Gospel according to Luke. Excuse me. And so, any of my students will very well know. Um, I'm tempted to say, what does it mean? What are the definitions? But what is the context here? What's going on here? We need to really understand what's happening here, get a full historical view of all that. I'm not going to go into that because it's going to take like another 40 minutes of your time. I'm not trying to do that. But we should understand something here, okay? So the book of Matthew is intended for a Jewish Christian audience. The Sermon on the Mount imagery is meant to help them understand and to visualize, oh yeah, I remember this guy named Moses. He was on top of Mount Sinai. He received divine revelation, and then he brought it down the mountain to us. And so this image of Jesus standing on top of a mountain is like, oh yeah, Moses. Oh, Jesus. He's kind of important. I should listen to what he has to say. And then meanwhile, in the book of Luke, right, Luke is intended to be written to a more Gentile audience, right? And so think about what that means. Jesus, the Lord of hosts, the Lord of the universe, brought down to a plane, a flat level, at our level. And that kind of imagery is supposed to blow us all away. And I'm sure it does. Why does the Lord of the universe come down to our level and to present his wisdom to us, where we are at? Emmanuel, God with us. Okay, so let's remember that as we're reading Luke. Let's remember that God's wisdom brought down, made simple for us to understand. Unfortunately, that doesn't make it any easier to eat. It's still tough. Now, whether you read it from the book of Matthew or the book of Luke, it's meant to make you uncomfortable. It's meant to make you kind of feel ooh, I don't like that. I don't want to change. That seems like hard work. Let's all agree, right? We've been hearing sermons about how you can love your enemies, and we're probably like, good point, Pastor Joe. And then we go home and we're like, this stupid guy cut me off in traffic. And we just get so angry. Okay, Jesus isn't interested in your agreement. Don't nod your head yes at me. I don't care. He's interested in the fruit and applying what you learn here to your lives. Okay, so I'm going to break down our passage into three parts here. Luke chapter 6, starting from verse 37. Do not judge, you will not be judged. Do not condemn, you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be poured over into your lap. And for the measure you use, that's the measure that will be given back to you. And there's this really cool image buried in verse 38, right? For probably a lot of us, we think of grace as like, oh, it's a cup, and we're filling it with water, and it's pouring over. Cool, that's a good image, true. Now, if you're like me, when I cook and I make rice, I'm like a total weirdo, and like I have to level it off with a chopstick, so it's like exactly one mop, because it's not a cup, right? I have to level it off. It has to be exactly perfect. No more, no less, perfectly measured. Tactical rice. And this is how merchants would vend grain in the ancient marketplace. Now, however, this imagery lays out to us something that a merchant would never do, right? So he fills the cup. Here's your cup, sir. No, but this merchant, what he does instead is, I'm going to smash it down as hard as I can, get it all flat. Then I'm going to take more, and I'm going to fill it. And then I'm going to overflow. Here's your cup. That's what you paid for. This kind of like imagery is bananas, right? It doesn't make sense. Right? Indeed, this would be a very generous merchant, right? Very generous merchant, very generous God. Jesus is saying the standard you apply to others, that exact standard, that's going to be measured back to you. So you use a stingy, like dingy, like a cup that's been dented on the bottom so there's less in there. Oh, here's your cup, good sir. Now you can imagine God being like, oh yeah, here's your grace, good sir. That should make us stop and think, ooh, that doesn't feel good at all. I don't like that. Right? But for those of us who are extending grace to others, here's your grace. Here's extra, a little bit more. Here you go. Here, take the bank. Now, can you imagine God doing that for us? That's the way God gives grace to us. And so we have this like crazy idea that like, oh yeah, that seems fair that, you get a flat cup, I get one, everyone. God breaks the mold on that entirely. Out the window, right? And think about how this lands in light of our previous sermons. Right, we're talking about loving our enemies. Some of us thought, that's cool, but you don't know what they did to me. You don't know how they hurt me. That's real. That pain is real. I'm not discounting that. No one's downplaying that, right? But these words speak for themselves. The measuring cup of grace extended to you, that's what you give your enemies? Think of it backwards. That cup of grace I refuse to give my enemy, that's what God's given to you. That should really make you stop and think. That should make you really stop and be uncomfortable, right? It's easy to love the lovable. Everyone does it. I'm so handsome. Everyone loves me. It's hard to love people who hurt you, right? But that's the judgment of grace that we're measured by, not by how you treat the best of the best. It's how you treat the low of the low, right? Think of the profundity of this statement. I still can't wrap my head around it. That's why I guess we'll never understand grace. The hypocrisy here, the collection of believers, nothing more than a group of absolutely broken sinners, undeserving of grace. Like, not only do we get by on the grace of God, that's like we subsist on it. If we don't have the grace of God, forget it. Like, what's the point? Unable to give that same measure of grace to other people? What? Can you imagine? Like, I am imagining God sitting in heaven being like, oh, you guys, you just don't get it. Can you feel, taste, touch the hypocrisy here? And so speaking on hypocrisy, this brings us to the next part of our scripture. This is a very well-known one. Then he also tells them this parable. Can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into a pit? The student is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like their teacher. Why don't you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when you yourself fail to see the plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. Take the plank out of your own eye first. Then you'll be able to see clearly and remove the speck from your brother's eye. This is like the most vivid image you can see. It's like, those Saturday morning cartoons? That's what it makes me think of. Oh, I've got something in my eye. Can you help me take a look? And the other dude turns around, 2x4 sticking out of his face. It's a character. It's like so ridiculous. The message and the point is there. It's sharp. Or a plank. You cannot appropriately judge another without first dealing with the same thing in your life. Well, rather you can, or you'll be called a hypocrite. Because I'm a nerd, I had to look it up. Hypocrites, Greek word. Translated literally, it comes from the union of two words. Hypo, meaning under, kritos, interpreter. Actors in biblical times, they were known to, instead of wearing makeup and costumes, they just put a mask on, right? And so to be a hypocrite, literally in that time, meant to wear a mask over your own face and then act as a different character. Is it starting to sting yet? We have to ask ourselves, what mask are we wearing over our own faces? Does it run as deep as, no, I can't come to fellowship. I got to study. Meanwhile, scrolls Instagram for 6 hours. Or does it start at, hey, how was your day? Good. Are we speaking from under a mask? Or are we truly what we're all about? Notice something interesting here. We often miss this when we look at this passage. Jesus doesn't say, don't discern, don't judge, right? Jesus says, ignore the speck. He doesn't say don't discern, right? It's a matter of love and care. It's necessary in the church. It's critical to improve one another. you'll note he says, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you'll see clearly to remove the speck from the other. Right? I hear this all the time. People say, oh, you can't judge me. God says, don't judge me. That's not what Jesus says. Jesus says, remove the plank first, then judge appropriately. Right? And so, speaking truth, discerning judgment, speaking wisdom into someone else's life, of course, undergirded with love, never to be done in a way of belittling someone, or parents nagging your kids. Do your homework. Sorry, that was my mom saying that to me all the time. Did you do your kuman? All the time, right? Done in love, a little bit belittling, made me feel really small. The order matters. It really matters enormously. Self-examination, then discernment with love. And the convicting truth here that really makes my head spin, the thing that bothers us most in others, those are the things we're dealing with first and foremost. Think about that. What really makes you angry from other people? Oftentimes, that's what we're doing, right? So the person who holds rage against gossip, oftentimes struggling to control their own tongue. The quickest to point out pride in other people, they're doing it from an elevated platform, kind of like this. Ooh, that hurts. People upset about how they present themselves in church, whether they have clean clothes or whatever, whether it's, oh, you gotta wear this eight-point suit. Oh, that's not even a thing. A three-piece suit. Eight-piece suit. What does that even look like? Sorry, rabbit trailing. Oftentimes people that are pointing this out to other people, they're the ones who have to be like, gotta have it all together, gotta make sure I'm there Sunday morning, ready to go, everything's perfect, I'm good to go. But on the inside, crumbling down. Personally, especially like some of you know, I used to be an athlete. When I coach volleyball, I'm always upset when athletes I coach or the people I dialogue with are like, oh, but it's hard work. I don't want to do it. It's hard. Meanwhile, duh, I don't work out. Like, such a hypocrite. Oh, man. So here's a practical question to carry with you. Who's the person you find yourself like, who's op number one? Who are you mentally criticizing all the time? Now pause and ask, what about them that bugs me so much? What do I do that's exactly that? Chances are you don't have to look that far. It's pretty right in front of you. That question is a plank removal tool, right? If you look at another person and you say, oh, something you did really made me angry, and then you think to yourself, do I do the same thing? That's the beginning of radical love, right? One that doesn't really make sense to anyone else, right? Because it causes you to stop and to be brutally honest with yourself. Like, you could lie to anyone in here. Don't lie to yourself. Like, and if you are, well, congratulations. Here's your mask. Here's your jester hat. You're just fooling yourself. So one, it causes you to stop, be brutally honest about yourself. Secondly, you can't truly love someone if you're constantly judging them, right? Even if you're discerning with truth and love, but you're always looking for the next time they screw up, it's not love. Love keeps no records of wrongs or rights, right? So if you're constantly looking to criticize people and you're just like, oh, you did this wrong, you look at yourself, be like, hey, wait, do I do that? Probably. Oh, that doesn't feel good either. Are we starting to feel crappy about ourselves yet? When I was writing this sermon, I was like, oh, I don't feel too good about myself. Maybe I shouldn't preach this. Okay, we'll take a breather about this, okay? Help ourselves feel a little bit less bad as people. I'll tell you a bit of a story, okay? So this is a story about a snake and a scorpion. Some of you may recognize this as like there's a Aesop's fable about, what is it? Is it a frog and a scorpion? A frog and a scorpion? People are nodding their head. I feel smart. A frog and a scorpion. And the story is the frog is going to carry this scorpion across the river. It's like, okay, I'll carry you across. Don't sting me. And then the scorpion's like, gotcha. And they both die. Okay, that's a little dark. Here's the adaptation, okay? There's a forest fire raging on one side of the river, and all living things were trying to get out of its path. The snake was waiting at the riverbank, and next to the snake was a scorpion. The scorpion turns to the snake and says, this is weird. I get this strange sense of déjà vu. Oh, why is that? Asked the snake. Well, said the scorpion, the last time I was here, I was taken across the river on the back of a frog, but only after I promised I wouldn't sting him. And, says the snake, and once I'd been taken across, well, I stung him. And as he was dying, he asked me, well, why'd you do that? And the snake says, well, why'd you do it? And the scorpion replies, I told him I couldn't help it. It's my nature. Snake says, interesting. Okay, well, where's the déjà vu? The scorpion replies, the déjà vu's out there. Look, said the scorpion. The snake looked, and all he could see was a frog carrying a small animal across the river. He thought for a moment, and then he said, so you're saying that you'd do the exact same thing again if another frog took you across the river? The scorpion replies, of course, it's my nature. Okay, I understand that, said the snake. Here's the deal. I'm going to make an agreement with you. Now, I'm not a water snake, neither am I a great swimmer. So it's my intention to hitch a ride across the river as well with a frog. So how about this? After the frog brings me across, I'll tell him to come back and get you, and then you sting him as much as your nature dictates. Sound fair? Scorpion thinks and says, do you promise? You promise not to tell him what I intend to do? Of course, said the snake. I swear it on my honor. Sorry, I swear it on my honor. Sorry, I was watching cartoons last night. Well, then it's a deal, said the scorpion. The snake duly hitched a ride with the frog across the river, while the scorpion watched from the other side, the forest fire getting closer. And so when the snake got to dry land, the scorpion saw him whisper into the frog's ear. And right after that, the frog goes, cool, hops out of the water and hops away. Scorpion realizes he's been had. He's been betrayed. He shouts across the water, you snake, haha, guys, see what I did there? You swore you wouldn't tell him what I would do. You swore it on your honor. I did, said the snake, but you seem to think that you were the only creature with nature, and frankly, it kind of annoyed me. So take it as a lesson. I'm a snake, and I have a nature too. And so with that, the snake slithers away, not even bothering to watch as the forest fire rages closer. And the moral of this story here is pretty simple. The nature you are, the nature you have, on the inside, behind a mask, it's always going to leak out. It's always going to come out. You can't hide it, right? For the students here today, maybe this sounds a little familiar to you. This is the same passage I used when I was referring to us all as little dumplings. See the imagery here? Dumplings all look kind of the same. All have doughy white exterior. Unless you make them in student ministry, then who knows what it looks like. You guys. They have the same floury exterior and pan-fry technique. They all look uniform. They all look perfect, but you never know what's inside until you open it up. Sometimes you get no meat. Sometimes you get all dough. Sometimes you get reverse dumpling, meat on the inside, outside and dough on the inside. In short, whatever fills the dumpling, that's going to flavor the bite. Whatever it is on the inside, that's going to come out sooner or later. Okay, so this brings us to our next part here. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. Each tree is recognized by its own fruit. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Verse 45 tells us this, the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. You don't have to dig very deep to find what's really in there. Just watch what comes out when life starts squeezing you and starts giving you stress. You start sleeping less. When you have kids. Jesus says your life is a tree. It's always bearing fruit. And you know what? That fruit never lies. A pear tree is never going to give us apple fruit. Well, maybe with like cross genetics, but that's besides the point. Okay? The fruit will always come from the tree that it's coming from. It's not trying to trick you. The nature's there, right? Let's apply this to our lives here, okay? So what fruit is your life producing? Not on your best days, not on Christmas, not on Palm Sunday, not on Good Friday, just a regular, ordinary Tuesday. When you see someone who cuts you off in traffic, comes off your tree. When you show up to work and someone's parked in your parking spot, what comes off your tree? Oh, that hurts. When a coworker gets the promotion that you worked for, for students. When you do a group project, we all know what this is going about. You did all the work. Those 4 other guys got the same grade as you. What comes off your tree? When you're burning the candle at both ends, staying up late at night, waking up early in the morning, someone says something that kind of like makes you a little bit livid. What comes off your tree? When someone who hurt you years ago, that thing you never forgave them for comes to mind, what comes off your tree? By now, you should be feeling the weight of this passage. Good. Let's not leave with weight in no direction, all right? I'm a big proponent of that. Otherwise, you're just a mass sitting there. Oh, sad. You gotta have some direction, right? So I'm gonna bring a few things. First, let's stay honest with God, right? This is how we tend our tree. This is how we take these things in stride and move forward with it. Let's stay honest with God about what's in there. Don't lie to yourself. You're not fooling anyone. Right? David didn't perform for God. He brought his resentment, his fear, his pride, his joy, his shame, all of it. He laid it before him. Psalm 139 says this, "Search me, O God, know my heart." Plank removal in a prayer form. Ask God regularly, honestly, "Search me, O God, know my heart." What's growing in me that shouldn't be? Number 2, stay connected to the source. That's how you tend to your tree. In John 15, Jesus says, "I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, you will bear much fruit." He doesn't say, try harder. He doesn't say, apply this pesticide. He doesn't say, add this manure to your fertilizer, or whatever. He says, remain. Stay in the vine. The fruit is a byproduct of connection. Stay close with Jesus through his word, through prayer, through community, morning devotions, evening devotions, prayer before bed, ? The fruit will come. Not quickly, but it'll come. Third, and this is the most practical one there is, take small concrete steps towards a love you don't yet feel. Step into the discomfort. Love is not a feeling you wait for sometimes. Sometimes, especially when you've been hurt, excuse me, it's a decision you make before the feeling arrives. Call the person you've been avoiding. Write that note to someone you've been putting off. Have that tough phone call. Go up to that fellow brother or sister after church and tell them what they've been doing that's made you so upset. Be generous before you feel generous. Oftentimes the action goes, you serve, God meets you there. You step forward in discomfort, God meets you there. So if you've ever gone apple picking before, sorry, I switch gears a lot. I have like a lot of loose threads in my mind. We do this kind of every year with student ministry. We go apple picking. Everyone knows. What's the best apple? Anyone know? Just shout it out. Yeah. Thank you. Universally known, right? Honeycrisp is like A1 top shelf. That's the best. Like, whatever. Granny Smith, I'll only eat it if it's in a pie. I eat a lot of pies. My wife makes a good pie. But we all know Honeycrisp, honey, like that's the jam. You got to go get that. Best crunch, best balance. I'm like a walking advertisement for Honeycrisp. That's like my thing. Generally the most balanced between sweet and tart, and generally the most expensive too, right? Yeah, I feel that. I go shopping for this and I'm like, can't afford those. What people don't know is that it takes up to 8 years to produce the first full harvest. Do you guys know this? Because I'm ADD, I had to research this. I had to. 8 years of care, pruning, watering, driving off pests before you taste a single fruit. Farmers who plant them have to believe in something they cannot yet see. They have to believe that the end goal is worth the hard work they're putting in now. Do you see where I'm going here? Following Jesus is like that. The love he calls us to, this radical, costly, plank removing, enemy forgiving, generous, measuring kind of love. It's not a weekend project that you just do. It's pruned, watered, protected, tended, sometimes painfully pruned. It takes patience, honesty, the kind of grace that only God can supply. Here's the promise buried in these passages here. If you tend to the tree, the fruit will come. And when it does, believe me, people can see it. They can smell its aroma. Did I put on deodorant today? They can smell its aroma. It smells good, right? They can see it. They can taste it. Something's different about you. What do you have that I don't? In your forgiveness, in your generosity, in the way that you refuse to condemn the person everyone else has written off? Even in the way that you share difficult or abrasive discernment with others, when you call people out. Like, Hannah, could you please stop talking? She's not listening, but the way that we do that. Now she's listening. That goodness that flows out of your heart, friends, families, coworkers, even embittered enemies might want to know where it comes from. Why you're different. That ultimate fruit of a life rooted in Christ. Not just personal transformation, but the kind of witness that draws others towards the gardener who tended you. That's what I ask. I go to a tree, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of fruit here. What do you got to do to get that? I ask the person who tended the tree. That's your golden opportunity to share more about the gardener who tended you. So, do you guys understand why I titled it Ball Don't Lie? Sorry, no one knows what that is, huh? Okay. When you're playing basketball, sometimes you get fouled, and you sometimes it's not an accurate or fair judgment, and the other team gets the ball, and it's like, okay, well, ball don't lie. If you don't make this point, I guess we'll see. It was never a foul in the first place. Or in volleyball, we get competitive. Sometimes people like touch the net or whatever. They don't call their own faults. They hit the ball out. They lie about it. It's a well-known statement between me and Matt. Ball don't lie. You just lost 4 points in a row. That's what you get. Ball don't lie, guys. Who you are on the inside, that's going to come out. Who you are, how you represent yourself, there's no lie in that, right? It's a true representation of the Creator who created you. So be that as we go, right? And so this week as we head towards Easter, I know it's Palm Sunday. I don't even know what month it is. Sorry, it's not a Palm Sunday sermon. Check your tree. Be honest with the fruit. Ask God to tend what needs tending. Ask God to prune what needs pruning. And trust that the one who planted something good in you is faithful to bring it to fruition, to harvest. Because you know what? The fruit doesn't lie. Ball don't lie. The fruit doesn't lie, and the gardener doesn't either. Right? God is a good God. He will tend to you if you ask for it. And that fruit that comes off, oh, it's a good thing. People can't wait to hear or see that. And then we get to share a little bit about who God is. Oh, how cool is that? Think about that this week. Let's pray. Father, we've heard your word today. We cannot unhear it. You've held up a mirror and asked us to look honestly, not at the people around us, but at ourselves. And give us the courage to do that. Give us the humility to remove the planks as we reach for specks. Give us the patience and discipline to tend the tree, even when the harvest feels so far away.